for letting me know about that. Welcome. Welcome to POV Pool's Wednesday Grind, Wednesday, May 13th, 2020. I hope you enjoyed that match that I played to you. It was between Johnny Archer and Jimmy Mataya, and it took place at the Caesars in Las Vegas, 1989 Brunswick World Nine Ball Championship, and that was a semifinals match. Give me an audio check in the chat room and let me know if there's any echo, if there's any kind of discrepancy at all, so that we can proceed with this very important day here on POV Pool. We're going to be interviewing Jimmy Mataya, Pretty Boy Floyd, who was recently inducted into the Hall of Fame, nominated for to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, the Veterans Division, which they 60 years and older category. They induct a new veteran every 2 years, and Jimmy Mataya is on that list, amongst a few other names like David Howard, Mary Keniston, I believe Grady Matthews is on that list, Keith McCready, and just to name a few. But I wanted to take this time to interview Jimmy Mataya, and part of the reason why we are having this interview today is not just because of the recent Hall of Fame nomination, but also because we are in quarantine in many states in the United States. There's limited activity out there in the real world. We're all staying home, and there's a lot less action out there, with the exception of guys like Roy's Basement, who are right now streaming Filler and Chohan on Facebook at Roy's Basement on Facebook. You can check that out. That's a pretty close match going on right now. But there's not as many a lot of tournaments are canceled. The World Nine Ball's been postponed and moved to January. The U.S. Open was canceled this year, and postponed. We've canceled our Cole Dixon. I canceled a qualifier for the U.S. Open. I've canceled several events, and a lot of other events in the world are being canceled because of COVID-19. So I have made a commitment to our viewers and to everybody that loves pool. I've made a commitment to stream something for you guys every Wednesday and every Sunday. So if you ever want to check in with us on POV Pool on Wednesdays at around 11 a.m. every day, every week, and Sundays every week at noon, I'll be doing some kind of live show. And I don't know, sometimes I'll be playing the Ghost, sometimes I'll be doing interviews, and other times I'll be just covering the news and taking on other guests. So I hope you guys like and subscribe to POV Pool on YouTube, and that you take the time to check us out every Wednesday and Sunday, at least for the time being, so that we can sweat something during this, this pandemic that's been going on. So hi to everybody in the chat room. I want to say hi to Marwan1420, 9ball.com, B.A. Jen, Frank Curcio, Eric Peterson, Dan Post, Freddie Agnew. Let's see who else we got. Anybody else out there that's watching anonymously? Eric M. Anybody else that's watching anonymously? Joe Canella, Canella Spirits is watching. Shout out to all my friends in Las Vegas too, by the way, and all of you at the Rum Runner. Gino Hill and Gordy Hill, Jim Blakeman, and all the other boys. Phil Tatum, funniest man in Las Vegas, and Darren Domingo, best bartender in Las Vegas. Actually, best male bartender in Las Vegas. Best female bartender, Katie Scott. How are you doing? And also shout out to everybody else in Las Vegas. Now, the reason why I'm shouting out Las Vegas is because Jimmy Mataya lives in Las Vegas, and he's been there for about 30 years. But we're going to talk more about that when we get him on the phone. Jimmy Mataya is a 4-time world champion. He won his first world championship. It was a 9-ball championship in 1971, and that's just about 50 years ago in Los Angeles. It was the World 9-Ball Championship in Los Angeles. And then in 1972, he won the same championship in Las Vegas a year later. He was the only player to win it back-to-back, 2 World 9-Ball Championships back-to-back. I don't think the record's been broken yet. And before that, he was playing pool at a very early age. By the time he was 15 years old, he was playing with Willie Hoppy. He started around 9 years old. He won the Michigan State Championship. I believe he won that 3 times in a row, starting in 1966 through 68. He was inducted into the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame and the Lansing Sports Hall of Fame in Michigan. I don't think I think he was the youngest player to win the Michigan State Championship as well. And that was, by the way, that was straight pool, I believe. He has also broken other records too. I will ask him about them. He can tell you about them. What's the line that Jimmy is late? There's not going to be a line on that. Jimmy will not be late. Anyway, I want to thank you guys all for tuning in. Hi to Sargon Isaac. I see you up there. We got to do something in snooker one of these days soon. And I'm really glad you guys are all tuning in. I'm honored to be taking this interview on with Jimmy Mataya. I consider him a friend as well as an associate, where he works with me side by side to do some commentary at the finals of the Rum Runner event every year, the Andy Mercer tournament. And I have been looking forward to this. I'm actually very nervous, but I know when I get Jimmy on the line, it's just going to be like nothing. We haven't been apart at all. And I want to say hi to you too, Stefano Palinga. Wow, what an honor. Okay, so I feel like I'm under a lot of pressure here to provide you guys with Jimmy Mataya, raw and uncut. Let's go. And by the way, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Jimmy has asked me not to do an interview on camera. He wants to do this all on speakerphone. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see him, but I do have some photos of him that you guys can look at while we're talking to him. So here we go with Jimmy Mataya.
Hello.
Jimmy.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great. You're live. You're on the air. POV Pool. I just want to make sure that everybody can hear you first. And once we get a confirmation that everybody can hear you, then we'll go ahead and proceed. Is that all right?
That's absolutely fine.
Okay. All right. Hold on a second. Let me just get a confirmation. Audio good, guys?
Pardon me?
Hold on. I'm talking to the audience. I'm pretty sure we're good. He's on time. Hey, Fat Boy in the chat room said, "You're on time, a world first." What do you say to that?
I'm on time. I'm always on time. How are you doing, number one? Are you safe? Are you well?
Yeah, I'm about as safe and well as I can be for, considering what's going on in the world. Now, I I wanted to just get your comment on this because a lot of people are probably wondering why we're not putting you on camera. Do you want to answer that?
Well, the best reason I could give you is I haven't had a haircut in about 3 years now. Barbershops are closed. I look like Wolfman Jack, and they wouldn't recognize me anyway. Yeah. Now,
Well,
we'll find another time where I look a little bit more presentable, shall we say.
well, Jimmy, I'm sure there was a time in your life where you didn't want to be recognized. Is that true?
Oh, well, we all go through the pool hustling days. I mean, I was brought up around pool back in the black days of pool, if you will. I mean, it was hard to stay alive as a professional pool player if you didn't gamble, because back in the day, back in the 60s and the 70s, you didn't have near as many pool tournaments as like you have today. So you were kind of forced to gamble if you wanted to try to stay alive, because you just couldn't play in one pool tournament every 3 months or so. I'm talking about big tournaments back then. There was maybe 3, possibly 4 major world title type events back then. So it's what do you do in the meantime to try to stay alive? So a lot of people were forced to gamble. How else could you pay your bills?
Where did that come from, that term, Black Days of Pool?
Well, I mean, you've seen the movie The Hustler.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's pretty much the way it was back then. You would play in whatever tournaments that were available. But like I say, there wasn't that many compared to today. I would say for every tournament you had back then, you probably got 6 or 7 today.
Yeah.
So, it's a much easier for a player today to try to make it as a player, because he has a lot of tournaments he can go to. But back then it wasn't that way.
So it's interesting you say that. I just played a match that you were in. It was your first television appearance, 1989. You remember it, with Johnny Archer playing in the Brunswick World 9-Ball Open?
I was playing Johnny Archer?
Yeah, you played.
I would say bet on me.
It was. What'd you say?
I would say bet on me.
You'd say bet on you. Well, you did win it 9-5.
It's too late to get a bet down.
Too late to get a bet down. Yeah, much too late. But one thing that I noticed that you had said in an interview during that recording was that they asked you when you got into pool, why you got into pool. You had said, I think you probably were talking to Steve Miserak, you had said you watched The Hustler and you saw Paul Newman and you thought, I'd like to be like that guy.
That's a true story. Some friends of mine went to a drive-in one night. I think I would say I was about 12 years old.
Yeah.
And I had already started playing pool. I started playing when I was 9 years old. But, I liked to play everything back then. Baseball, football, you name it, any kind of sports. I always loved sports.
Mm-hmm.
After we went to that movie that night, and I saw all these fancy shots and stuff they did with the cue ball and everything. I said, you know what? That's what I want to do.
Okay.
And that's the way it ended up.
So I think it was like you were 12, you saw the movie, but you found yourself like less than 3 or 4 years later, you're playing with Willie Mosconi. How did that happen?
I was playing Mosconi, I think the first time I played him was in 1965. I played Jimmy Terrace the year before in 1964. And I played everybody. You name them, I played them. I played
So
Terrace,
was that in a tournament or was it just by chance?
With Terrace and Mosconi, I played exhibitions. But in tournaments, I played with Luther Lassiter, Irving Crane, Joe Balsas, you name them, anybody from way back 100 years ago on up till when I retired. I mean, I played with everyone.
Yeah. So this is like a period of your life where you're probably learning the ropes from a lot of your peers, right? So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you must learn. You must have people help you, and I was fortunate enough to have good players show me things and how you do this and how you do that, how you shoot that, how you shoot that shot. I mean, it's a never-ending learning experience, and it still is.
So this was in Detroit, Michigan, right? Were they letting you in the pool hall to the rack or somewhere else?
Well, I was from Lansing.
Oh, Lansing, okay.
They allowed me to come in and play for free, and I started going to the rack in Detroit when I was 15 years old.
Okay. Yeah. What memories stand out from that period of your life? Like what were the most fond memories of going to the rack?
Going to the rack, fond memories. About all I can say is being at the rack was like being in prison. I mean, you didn't have very many friends. You only had friends if you had money in your pocket, because it was their job to take that money out of your pocket. They had great players, great hustlers, more action in that pool room than any pool room that ever existed.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a family type of room. You would not see kids or anything like that. It was strictly a gambling organization, you know. A lot of mobsters in there. You had to ring a buzzer to get in. And it was strictly a gambling place. It wasn't a place to, you know, if you were playing $100 a game, it was like you were loitering. Okay, I mean, you were just basically passing time if you were playing $100 a game.
Okay.
It was the most incredible place I had ever seen. I don't think there'll ever be another pool room quite like the rack, because they were betting thousands like it was water. And this is back in the 60s.
Sure.
Now you try to compare that to today with the rate of inflation. I mean, it was just unbelievable how much money you could win in there. The only problem was winning, okay? That was a problem. Now, you could go out into the parking lot, and you'd probably see license plates from 5-6 different states.
Okay.
It's like, why go out on the road hustling pool? And you just go to Detroit, rent yourself an apartment, and just stay there, because sooner or later you're going to make a score.
I was going to ask you about that, actually, because, you know, the biggest room near you that I could think of was Chris's Billiards in Chicago. So did you get a lot of players from Chris's showing up, and vice versa? Would the guys from the rack go to Chris's?
A lot of the big cities like Chicago and New York and this and that, boy, they were tight with their money. I mean, if you had a game for $10, $20 a game, it was like big action.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is around a big city. Everybody is very sharp, very leery of everyone, and they just weren't much of gamblers. They had a lot of terrific players, but to go into big cities was not really the way to go if you wanted to make money.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you started.
Speaking of Iraq and Detroit, I got a real good friend who was my backer back then. I mean, let's face it, you can't get up and play if you don't have any money in your pocket. I had a guy back there who's still alive. I talked to him the other day. His name is Joe Tatro, and he was one of the icons in the rack there. And he met me when I was just a young teenager, and he liked the way I played. And then as years went by and I got better, he would back me against anybody that wanted to come to Detroit and play me. Nobody was barred. The only question was, how much do you want to play for?
Okay.
And Joe Tatro, a great guy, and was not afraid to put his money down.
So amongst you, could you just tell us who were some of the other household pool names that came out of the rack?
Well, one of them for sure was Cornbread Red.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was definitely an icon. They had other great players that that stayed there for years and years. Guys like Babyface. I don't know. Did you ever hear of Babyface?
Okay, no.
Babyface. His name was Alton Whitlow, and I believe at one time in his life, he ran second in the World Championship of straight pool to Moscone. I mean, he was a terrific player. You had all kinds of champions there. I mean, you had even the people that weren't champions, they were very good at making a game. They were good at matching up, and the bet was never a problem. You didn't have to be a champion to see big action in there. I mean, you could, anybody playing, it didn't matter. You knew they were gambling.
Yeah.
And it was a type of place that you didn't pay for time. Like if you wanted to come in and practice, you could practice all day and all night for 3 months straight. You got no time. They didn't charge you no time. But if you got into a money game, whatever you won, the house wanted 10%. And don't want to do that, well then don't come back.
Ah, okay. Interesting. All right.
Yeah, well, it was, it was strictly a mob place.
Yeah.
And, that's the way it was back then.
Yeah. So the rack is kind of like the school of hard knocks for you, and you seem to be
Absolutely.
doing it.
I spent 8 years in the rack, and I'm telling you, it was like, it was like doing time in the joint. Okay?
All right.
And they had park benches all around the place.
Yeah.
And for the people that got broke, that came in from out of town or whatever, they didn't even have money for a motel. Mm-hmm. You would sleep on the bench. Okay, you'd sleep on the park bench, and when somebody made a game for you, you're over there sleeping on the bench. They'd come over and wake you up and tell you, "Get up, I got a game for you."
Okay.
Okay, and that's just the way it was. You were lucky if you could find a good friend. They were strictly there basically to gamble. If you had money, well, you're a friend because they're going to try to figure out a way to get it from you.
It's really interesting that you kind of paint that picture, because when I was growing up as a pool player in the late 80s, I used to go to Hollywood Billiards, which was a 24-hour joint. Now, it wasn't the same, as what you're talking about, but they had the benches and people would sleep on them, and sometimes you'd see a guy shake another guy awake and say, "Hey, I got a game for you." So you're reminding me of what it was like in my early years learning how to play pool at Hollywood Billiards.
Hollywood Billiards. I think I remember that place.
Yeah. Okay. So you go into the rack for about 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
How did
Yeah.
you end up getting into the Michigan State Pool Championships? Like, was that just a side turn? I mean, you're obviously in a lot of action, but what is it that attracted you to the tournaments? I'm sure it was the money, right?
I never wanted to be a hustler. A guy discovered me when I was 14 years old, and he thought to himself, "This guy's got talent.
Yeah.
Doesn't know anything, but he sure can shoot." And anyway, by the time I was 16, he had me going on the road and hustling pool. Well, I never got a thrill out of beating someone out of their money that really just didn't have a chance with me. I'm talking about playing people that I could probably have beat them with one hand. I never got a thrill out of that because that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to see if I could just make an honest living by playing in tournaments.
Yeah.
Back then, like I say, there wasn't enough tournaments, so you were forced to gamble. But I never cared to beat people out of their money. If you were a good player, yeah, I wanted to play.
Yeah.
But to beat somebody that was really helpless, I mean, I didn't get any kick out of that. I mean, I made money, but it wasn't what I wanted to do.
I see. So at a certain point, it was kind of like more like a job than it was that you were actually in having fun.
Well, hustling pool is a job. I mean, you gotta be a good actor. You know, you gotta be sharp. You gotta know when to lose on purpose, when not to. You gotta know how to raise the bet. Get them gambling, and at the same time, you gotta make sure that they like you. Okay, very important. You don't want to get your thumbs broke. Okay.
Tell a couple of good jokes.
I always got along good with people, and always had fun with people, and that was never a problem with me.
Okay.
I never run into those problems.
Right. Yeah.
But one of the things I used to do, you go into a bar, Daniel, you're looking, there's action there. You're going to hustle pool. Well, yeah, you're here to play. Sometimes it's a little rough. So you go into the place, and what you do, you look for the biggest guy in there. You go up and say hello to him and say, hey, how you doing? Hey, can I buy you a beer? And next thing you know, you're in a conversation with him, and now you got the biggest guy in the place on your side. So you don't have to worry.
Not only that, the whole room sees you talking to him.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing. Say hello to the biggest guy in there.
Okay, all right. It's a good tip. It's a good tip, I guess. So let's talk about the professional side of things, because you have obviously you've done amazing things even at the age of 16 years old. You won 3 back-to-back Michigan State championships. Is that correct? 66 through 68.
Michigan State titles. I don't know how many Michigan State titles I won. I know I won a couple, 2 or 3, whatever.
Mm-hmm. And these were straight pool titles, correct?
Yeah. Back then, everybody was pretty focused on playing straight pool or 9-ball. Of course, in Detroit, they played a lot of one pocket.
Right.
They played some 3-cushion billiards,
Mm-hmm.
And they played some bank pool. I mean, they played everything there. No matter what you wanted to play, they would say, well, just hold on for a while. We will get you a game. No matter what you wanted to play, they would find a player. And the next thing you know, all they wanted to know was how much do you want to bet.
Right.
That was really the bottom line. How much do you want to play for?
Yeah. So after winning so early in your career, these 3 state championships, what happens from then? Because you don't end up winning your first world championship until a few years later. So are you going back and playing tournaments locally, and are you trying to go and play it? Because I see You also won a Michigan Motor City Open event in '67. So you're playing other small tournaments, and you also went to Johnson
Well,
City.
Motor City was not a small tournament. I mean, that was a major event. They had Hall of Famers playing there. I mean, it was a major
big deal.
tournament. And I was still in high school. I was 17 years old, and I went to play in it. I got beat fairly early in the tournament, but managed to make it all the way through the loser's side and made it to the finals, and had to play Hall of Famer Dallas West, who was undefeated, so I had to beat him twice, and we're playing 150 points. Well, in the very first game, he had me 114-0. And, well, there was a big crowd of people there, but when it got to be 114-0 in the first game, everybody was filing out.
They all thought it was over.
And there might have been like 10, 12 people left because they thought it was over.
Yeah.
No, from there, I went on and I beat him 2 in a row, and I won my first major tournament.
Wow. And then you also went to Johnson City. You got high run honors there, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a perfect run out of 125 and out, and I was playing, another Hall of Famer, Ronnie Allen, the guy they called Fast Eddie. And that was a perfect name for him, I'll tell you, because he was Fast Eddie. He was a talker and a player and a gambler. I mean, he was the legitimate Fast Eddie, Ronnie Allen.
How did you guys get along? Were you good friends?
Oh, well, I always got along great with everybody. I never had any problems really with any of the players. I mean, I liked all those guys. I enjoyed playing with them. And I just, I like to get along with everybody. I don't like to have hardships with anyone. I just don't like that.
Okay. So.
And anyway, that was the night that Playboy magazine was there in Johnson City to do an article on Ronnie that night. And it just so happened that night in the straight pool division we played that night, I played Ronnie. And so here are all these people with their cameras and everything, and we started the match, and I lost the lag, and he ran about 7 or 8 balls, and he missed a shot.
Okay.
Well, these people are still setting up their cameras, so they're not quite ready to go. But I'm at the table and I'm shooting.
Yeah.
So now I'm on a run of about 30 balls. And by then, now they got their cameras ready and so on and so forth, and they're waiting for Ronnie to come to the table so they can start taking pictures of him and everything.
Okay.
Well, I'm running 80, now I'm running 90, and as it turned out, I run 125 and out on him, and he was not a happy camper. Because this was his night to shine,
Yeah.
And I didn't know who these people was,
Yeah.
I only knew that, well, I'm playing Ronnie Allen, I'm playing Fast Eddie. So obviously, it was a big moment for me. I was only 20 years old. And it was just, something that happened.
Right. But you shortly after that, you went on to win your first world championship, right? Like just about a year later.
This was the Johnson City tournament was in October. So in February of the following year, 71, they had the world's title out there in Los Angeles. So, all right, I'm going. I'm a diehard pool nut at that time. I love to play, love the competition. That's what it's all about. So I went to Los Angeles. It was an all-around championship. You had the straight pool, you had the 1 pocket, you had the 9 ball.
Okay.
Well, in the straight pool division, you were put into brackets. And anyway, in my bracket, my first match of the tournament was against Boston Shorty.
Oh.
And once again, 125 points. I ran 125 and out on him in the very first match of the tournament. but I didn't end up winning the straight pool, but I ended up winning the 9-ball. I won the world title in the 9-ball division.
Right.
And then Ed Kelly beat me in the finals for the all-around championship.
Right.
I had won the 9-ball. Kelly had won the 1 pocket. And Ray Martin had won the straight pool.
I see. Yeah, I remember we were talking about this a little bit. Shit. You still there?
I am here.
Hold on a second. Check 1, 2. Can you hear me now? Hold on a second, Jimmy. I just got to get an audio check on you.
Okay.
For some reason, can we still hear Jimmy, folks? Give me a check, folks. Give me a check, Jimmy.
Okay.
Sounds good. All right. We're gonna continue. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
That's why next time we do this, my friend, we just gotta do a video call. We'll get you lined up with a good barber. We'll get your hair cut. And
well, we're on the air. I gotta say hello to a friend of mine from back in New Jersey who sent me some masks. He says, "Are you wearing masks?" I said, "No, I don't have any of those." He said, "Well, you might die." So he says, "Let me send you some masks." His name's Eddie Sheehan. He used to be a distributor, I believe, for Falcon Cues.
Oh yeah.
And you know Eddie Sheehan?
No, I don't think I've met him.
Well, I just wanted to say hello to Ed Sheehan back there in Audubon, New Jersey. He's a 1-pocket hustler from South Philly. That's what he hustles.
Oh, you just exposed him, Jimmy, to thousands of people, thousands of viewers.
He never gave me a piece of his action, so hey, I might as well knock you.
By the way, Joe Canella is watching, and he says hello and thank you for doing the interview. Also, Stefano Palinga is watching as well. We want to say hi to Stefano.
I want to say hello to all those people before we end up with our conversation. I got to say hello to all the guys at the Rum Runner. You know that, Daniel.
Absolutely. I was saying hi to them a little just before we started this.
And my good friend Stefano, I just talked to him just a couple of days ago. And, well, I tell you what, you're talking about an amazing guy. You know, you talk about me and this and that and what I did with a kid. How about Stefano? Here's a guy that was a cop in Rome, Italy.
Yeah.
Okay? From Italy, it was a cop. He went from being a cop to a world champion trick shot shooter. Now, to me, that is a pretty amazing story.
I agree with you. I mean, he went from being a cop to a robber, right?
Yeah, right. I went from taking people to jail to taking everybody's money shooting trick shots.
Yeah.
It's
amazing. You know, I didn't know that you and Stefano were so close. If I would have known that, I would have taken the chance. Hopefully, next time I'm at the Rum Runner and Stefano's there, we can have a photograph together, because Stefano's dear to my heart as well as Geraldine. Also, she likes Stefano very much, and I see him every once in a while down in Burbank when he comes to visit. And
he's a true gentleman, and I have no idea why they never put that guy in the Hall of Fame. He's an absolute gentleman and an absolute talent.
Yeah.
And comes with an amazing story. Why am I friends with Stefano? Let me tell you something, Daniel. Always be friends with the police, okay? Forget about it. What's the matter with you?
I didn't even think about that. You're hilarious. That's very true. It's couldn't be. You couldn't have said anything More concrete there. Definitely got to make friends with the police.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So let's move on. I want to continue, and we will get a chance to obviously to say hi to all those people again when they're watching. You won your first world championship. I want to ask you, what is it that lies? I mean, you may not know the real answer to this, but I just kind of want to know what your answer is. What do you think that lies at the foundation of a person that becomes a world champion? What do you feel like there are qualities that set a world champion apart from the runner-up? Is there a different state of mental beingness, that sets you apart from the guy that doesn't win the world championship?
Well, I would think number one, you must love the game. There's no question about that. I mean, when I was playing my best pool, I played 6, 8, 10 hours a day, every day for 10 years. Loved it. Couldn't get enough. But you also have to have a killer instinct. You have to despise losing. In other words, I want to tell you something. If two people were playing, give me the person that's more afraid of losing than he is of winning. The one that's the most afraid of losing, that's my man. Because losing back in the day with me, it scared me. It absolutely frightened me that I'm losing. I could lose this match, and it scared me.
Okay.
And I just fought hard. I mean, if you're going to beat me, you're going to have to knock me down and knock me out, count me out. Because I'm not quitting. I'm not quitting. I'm not walking away losing. And that's just the way I felt about it. I come from a very sports-orientated type of family, and we do not tolerate losing. You give it your best shot, and if you can't win, you go and practice and come back until you can win. And it's just having that type of desire, know. I could not stand losing. If I lost a match, I could not wait until I played my next match. And then if they told me you don't play till tomorrow, I was sick to my stomach. I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
It's just trying hard to want it more than anything else, and that's what it was for me. That's about all I had in my life at that time.
Yeah,
was pool, but that's all I wanted. I didn't care. I mean, there was a time in my life, if you'd have set a rack of balls next to me on one side and Marilyn Monroe on the other side, I'd have taken the rack of balls. Okay.
Okay, I believe you.
Yeah.
Let me.
Love it, and you just got to have a killer instinct that you're not going to lose. I mean, pool, let's face it, nobody goes undefeated in pool. You're going to win and you're going to lose.
Yeah.
It's something you're going to have to deal with.
That's true.
It's very hard when it's your whole life. It's very hard to lose. It's hard to accept.
So if you were to like put it under a microscope, would you have had like daily rituals? I know that you've bragged to a reporter one time that you didn't even practice back then. Is that true?
Well, I mean, there's great free players. I mean, there was players that for free played better than I did, no question.
What do you mean for free? Like, great? You mean the free strokers?
Yeah, the free strokers. I mean,
when there's no pressure.
You got when you get under the pressure or for the money, they just weren't the same players. They were good practice players, but what good is a practice player? You got to be able to get up in there and do that when you're playing the best players in the world.
Right. So was there any sort of like art to it that like, because okay, I'll give you like an experience that I used to have all the time. There'd be times where I'd be down on a money ball, or there'd be times where I'd be under pressure to close the match, and I might get down on a shot and there's just white noise overwhelming me in my head. White noise. I can actually hear white noise, and it's blocking me from shooting. It's blocking me from making the ball.
White noise?
Yeah, but that's just my experience, right?
I think I know exactly what you're talking about, and what it is, Daniel. From what I can understand, what you're saying, the white noise. Have you ever considered yourself as maybe you were in the twilight zone? What are you talking about? A white noise?
Well, I guess
you in the twilight zone.
I guess a world champion like you just can't relate. So we'll just move on. How about that?
I never had white noises. You know.
Okay.
What a pool is, and I mean, what it is really is concentration. I mean,
yeah.
There was times back in the day when I played, like at the rack, and I'm playing, you know, for big money or whatever. You could have thrown a bomb in there, and I wouldn't have heard it because my mind was so focused on the table and the balls that nothing on the outside could bother me because I didn't even hear it.
Right,
you know?
right. So let me ask you now. So now it's like 1970s, early 70s. You've not only won one world championship, but you've won a second one because you basically went to Las Vegas the next year.
The following year after Los Angeles.
Yeah, you won the second world championship in 1972, correct?
Yeah, I won the 9-ball again for the second year in a row. Only this time I won the all-around on top of it. When I won the 9-ball in L.A., and now here comes the all-around and all that, I was really exhausted at that time. You played a lot of matches back then. It ain't like today. I mean, back then you played and played and played.
Yeah.
And I really didn't understand the significance of winning the all-around. I was happy that I had won the 9-ball. So
right,
I really,
sure.
I didn't want to pay that much attention to the all-around. I was glad that the tournament was coming to an end.
Yeah.
But then after that, I realized the significance of it. And come the next year when I won the 9-ball at the Stardust, I was bound and determined that I'm going to win this all-around title on top of it.
Okay. And
I won it.
And you did, but you've broken some records along the way too, haven't you? Why don't you share with us what records you've broken and whether or not they've even been broken again?
Well, I was the youngest to ever have won the 9-ball title 2 years in a row. I was 22 years old.
Yeah.
I was the youngest to have won the 8-ball title 2 years in a row. I was 27 at that time. Other things that I've done has never been duplicated. Well, when I run 125 and out, 2 World Straight Pool tournaments in a row, had perfect runouts 2 years in a row. Nobody has ever done that.
Right.
So, I have some records that have never been broken. But as we know, records are always made to be broken. And
that's true.
My records, I'd be happy to shake their hand and congratulate them.
Good. Okay. Yeah, there's no harm in getting broken, but it's probably always a sense of accomplishment to set the record. So that's good. So let me ask you about things start to change a little bit for you after you win world championships. I mean, I don't know though. Let me ask you, like before the real changes start to occur, because really your life takes a big change when you meet Eva Mataya, or Eva Lawrence, or Eva Svensson at the time.
Eva Svensson.
Yeah, Eva Svensson, and your life starts to change. And that's in the early '80s. But between that time, between winning the world championships, just before you meet Eva, is it just business as usual for you? Are you gambling more than playing tournaments? What are you focusing mainly on in the '70s? Like, what's your main sort of like ambition, your main goal?
Well, I tell you, I was hanging around in Detroit. Living in Detroit at that time after I had won the Stardust tournament in '72.
Yeah.
And, like I said, I never cared about the gambling and the hustling part of it.
Right.
And I just got sick of being around, spending my life at the rack, and I just kind of said to myself, is this what I'm going to do the rest of my life, spend my life in this filthy dungeon? I mean, it was a dungeon, too.
Okay.
So I packed up. Now, here I am. I'm a two-time defending world 9-ball champion.
Right.
I'm the defending world all-around champion. I'm leaving Detroit, and I'm heading to Vegas, and I enrolled in dealer's school to become a dealer out here, and that's what I did. I finished my school, a dealer's school, and I became a blackjack dealer,
72, 73, something like that?
January of 73 is when I started working. I finished the dealer's school, and here I am, a multi-time defending world champion, and I'm going to go get myself a job and go work in the casinos because I was sick of the gambling. I really was.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, really was.
And there's still basically not enough tournaments, right?
No, still at that time there was not a lot of tournaments.
Not a lot of tournaments.
I mean, they would have small tournaments. Now you would have big time competition there because pool players want to play.
Yeah.
So there would be tournaments, but there may be like $500-600 for first place. But you would have world class players there because they want to play, they want to compete. So even though there was no money in it, there was good competition in it.
Okay. So, but then, are you playing pool? Is Qtopia open yet? And are any of the pool rooms open? And you're playing pool in Las Vegas?
Well, back when I first got here, you mean?
Yeah, back in the 70s.
When I first got here, the main place in town was the Q Club.
The Q Club.
Yeah.
And but things are kind of slow, right? I mean, obviously you're still entering tournaments that arrive in Las Vegas. You're going to the Stardust every year, right?
Well, I did until after the Stardust had the tournament in 1973. That was it. There was no more Stardust tournaments after that.
Oh.
And Johnson shut down.
Yeah.
So those two major events were gone.
I see. Okay. So you end up kind of, I don't know, it's like the early 80s. You end up meeting Ava. How does this all change your life? Like, tell me what happens there.
Well, I don't know. I guess the best thing you could say, it was a bad break for her. Okay. I mean, what I mean by that, she comes from a very nice family,
Yeah.
And let's face it, I came from the street corner, okay?
Okay.
I mean, she did not come over here to get married, but she came over here to play pool. She was 17 years old, and we had met at the World Tournament in 1981.
Okay.
And we got along good, and she decided, after she goes back home, she wanted to come back over here and be with me.
Okay.
Okay, cool. She loved to play pool back then. She wasn't a very good player at the time at all, but she was only 17. And anyway, when she came back, I went to New York to pick her up at the airport, and the customs was not going to let her out. They were going to put her on the next plane back to Sweden because all of a sudden her green card had expired or whatever the situation was.
Okay.
She was not going to be allowed to stay here. So I asked the guy, I said, you mean to tell me that there's no way? I mean, she's crying. She just flew in from Sweden, and now she's going to fly back. She's like crying, and I said to the guy, I said, is there no way that she can stay here? He said, well, there's one way. I said, what's that? He said, you got to get married. And I kind of looked at her, and she looked at me, and okay, let's do it. But I mean, I didn't know nothing about marriage or nothing like. I can't even spell marriage. So I mean, but who cared? she didn't care. I didn't care. You know, if she can stay if we get married, then guess what? We got married.
So that was it. That was based. That's the story, right?
That's the way it happened. I mean, she didn't come over here to get married, and I didn't. You know, I don't know nothing about marriage. You know, I'm just.
So next thing she knows, she's living in Vegas with you, right?
Pardon me?
So next thing she knows, she's living in Vegas with you.
No, we lived in Michigan.
Okay.
I had left Las Vegas in 1980.
Okay.
Came here in 72. I left in 80. I went back to Michigan.
I see. Okay. Okay. So, and then you end up, I mean, now you're like, you've been quoted in magazines as being, or in Wikipedia as being America's first and only pool power couple. Is that, how did you feel about that when you heard that?
Well, let's face it, there's another record we got that we share together. We're the only husband and wife team in the history of pool.
Yeah.
We're both won world titles.
Right. No, I heard that too.
No one's ever done that, you know.
Right.
So, you know, it's something for us to remember.
Okay. And then you also had a daughter together?
Yeah, Nikki. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My daughter, she just turned 35.
Amazing.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe it.
Time flies, doesn't it?
Well, you know, time doesn't go any faster than it ever did, or any slower. You know, it's just when you get older, you notice how fast time goes, but you don't think about that when you're a kid.
Yeah. So, you know, you've kind of like you've had I don't want to. You've had sort of a bad rap, though, haven't you? I mean, a lot of people.
You know, I deserved it. Listen, I'm a man. You know, I'll take my lashes when I deserve it. You know, I became very frustrated with pool. You know, I mean, I walked away from it at age 43. Yeah. And to be honest with you, I wish I would have walked away at age 33, because it would have just saved me a lot of embarrassment, because I no longer cared. I didn't care if I won. I didn't care if I lost. I didn't care if I forfeited. And when you get like that and you develop a bad attitude, well, I'll tell you what, partner, it's time to take a walk. And that's exactly what I did, but I never told anybody that I was going to quit. I just all of a sudden one day at a tournament, I had just got eliminated.
Yeah.
And I just kind of went up to my room and looked at myself in the mirror, and I said, you know, you are a bum, an absolute bum. And I just, I was doing nothing but embarrassing myself. And I never told anybody I was going to quit, but that was it for me. It was 27 years ago. I was 43 years old.
Yeah.
And I just said that I don't want this no more.
Well, you know, this is kind of strange too, because, I mean, you may not be at the height of your game in 1993, but you may not know it, but you're at the height of your career, in the sense that you've already done all these videos, these instructional videos, and you're a household name now. Everybody knows who you are. You've got this Pretty Boy Floyd image. You know, people probably know you this way as well. But you know, is that also a problem? Like, you're kind of like, is there any duality going on between Jimmy Mataya versus Pretty Boy Floyd? Are
you there?
Sorry about that. I dropped the phone again. I'm here.
Oh,
Did you understand the question? I mean, was there any struggle there? Like, were you having an identity crisis?
You know, to tell you the truth, in 1993 was the last 10 years of my career was the worst pool I ever played in my life, and it all became of the fact that you just didn't care no more. When I got news for you, you're playing the best players in the world, and you got a don't care attitude whether you win or lose. Yeah. It's time to take a powder, okay? It's time to get out, because all you're doing is is stinking up the place, and that's the way I felt about myself. I felt I was just a total embarrassment. When I was a kid, I thought I would play this game till the day I died.
Yeah.
But I became very disgusted with it, and all the rest of the pro players were the same. You know, we always hoping and hanging around that good things would happen in the world of pool, but it never did. And it still hasn't, which I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
It just doesn't, you know, if you don't have the corporate sponsorship, you don't have the money there, it's hard to make a decent living. I mean, there's a lot of great players out there, and as long as you love to play and you're still willing to give it your all, well, then go for it.
Yeah.
But when that ends, it's time to take a walk, and that's what I did.
Well, I can understand your frustration. I mean, you know, sometimes when you know the game as well as you do, it's very hard to communicate that to somebody that doesn't appreciate it as much as you do.
Well, I'm a blast from the past. I understand that.
Yeah.
I quit at age 43. I mean, pool players are still in their prime at that age, so one would think, why would you walk away after doing what you have done?
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't doing it anymore. I didn't care anymore. So I'm tired of being an embarrassment, which is that's all I was. I was an embarrassment, and rather ashamed of myself. And before I let the embarrassment go any farther, I said, that's it. I'm quitting. It's just not in my heart anymore.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy, can you tell me about Pretty Boy Floyd and how that all came about? And do you think that Pretty Boy Floyd was a problem?
Well, they hired me to do videos, you know, so I tried to do the best I could with the videos, and it started out as me and Jim Rempe, Larry Lascotti, and Mike Siegel. We were the first four that the guy wanted, but they all had nicknames. All right, so now he's going to do the jackets and stuff for these videos, and the other three guys had a nickname. I didn't have a nickname. He said, "What's your nickname?" I said, "Well, everybody just calls me Mataya. I don't have a nickname." He said, "Well, we got to have a nickname." I said, "Well, I don't have a nickname." He said, "No, well, we got to have a nickname for you."
I see.
I said, "Well, I don't know." I said, "When I worked with Minnesota Fats, me and Fats worked together for a couple of years, and everywhere we went, Fats used to call me Pretty Boy Floyd." And the minute I told him that, it took him less than 1 second. He said, "That's it."
Okay.
So that's really how Pretty Boy Floyd came to life. Only because these people insisted that I have a nickname, and when they heard that name that Fats used to call me, that was it, and all of a sudden Floyd was born.
So that was like 1988, 89, and
this was about 1987, I believe,
okay,
when we did videos, and then they probably came out on the market probably 1988.
And so was this uncomfortable for you at first, or was it something that immediately you also embraced?
It didn't make any difference to me, you know. I mean, I came into the world of pool as Jim Mataya.
Yeah.
And I would like to go out of the world of pool as just Jim Mataya.
Okay.
Don't call me Jimmy. Don't call me James. Don't call me Floyd. I'm just Jim Mataya. That's the way I started out, and that's the way I'd like to end it.
Yeah. True. Okay. You've been sort of, I mean, I know what you did. You left pool at 93 in the year 93, and you never really returned to it the same. No,
in the last 27 years since I quit, I actually have played in some tournaments in the last 27 years. I may have played in, I would say, 6 major tournaments in the last 27 years. But I only did it for the fun of it because, you know, I mean, geez, I got to thinking to myself, what am I going to do? Just go the whole rest of my life and never play another game of pool? So
No, I get you.
I had never played in another tournament again for about 11 years.
Yeah.
I was done as a player, but there were times when I, just for the kick of it, I said, I think I'll go play in this tournament and just have some fun and see a lot of people that I haven't seen in over 10 years.
Right.
But I was no longer a player. I had no chance of beating anyone.
That ship sailed.
I couldn't beat the barmaid. Are you kidding? The barmaid asked me to play some 20 a game. I had to turn her down. Okay, I was not a player anymore. So anybody that's beat me in the last 27 years, I got news for you. You didn't beat nobody, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've noticed in the past, just from looking at old footage of you and stuff, you've also tried to make some different career moves. Like you've done a hell of a job doing it, like working as a commentator in sports too, right?
Well, I know the game, and I like, people sometimes, I listen to a lot of these commentators, they take it way too serious, I mean, I'm the type of a commentator, I want to, pool is a fun game, man.
It is.
Playing pool, let's face it, it's a blast. And if you get involved in any type of competition, it's even more fun.
Yeah.
But there's also the flip side of that coin, It's fun to play, it's fun to compete, but in another sense, that's where it ends.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I commentate, I want to have fun with pool. I want to be able people to laugh and have a good time and enjoy the match. And
absolutely.
Not take it quite so serious. A lot of these commentators I listen to,
yeah,
all they ever talk about is the 2-ball and the 3-ball and the 4-ball. They never tell a story. They never crack a joke.
Right.
I mean, loosen up, have some fun, man, because this is what it's all about. Pool is fun.
Well, I gotta say, I've had a lot of fun commentating with you at the Andy Mercer, and I've had a lot of fun listening to you commentate, at the Jay Swanson Memorial and other events.
Oh, I have a great time there. It's fun, and it's fun to watch the great players of today. And when you, I know the Andy Mercer probably better than I do. It's a great event with a lot of magnificent players.
It really is.
I enjoy watching the great players of today. I wish I would have had a chance to play with them years ago, but they weren't around then,
Yeah.
So, but I will always miss the competition, but I don't miss it enough to ever want to play again in the last 27 years. I don't miss it enough to play, no. I'm all done. You can throw the dirt over me.
I don't want to throw dirt over you yet. Actually, I'd like to put you on the spot, if I may. I've always wanted to ask you this. There have been people in the pool world that have crossed paths, like ships sailing by, and I wanted to know if you'd played any of these guys. And you can just give me a 10-second answer on what you think of them as a player, or whether or not you played them at all. Is that okay? You want to do that with me?
You name them, I've played them.
Okay. Joe Balsas.
The years after I retired.
Joe Balsas. Have you played Joe Balsas?
Sure did. Must have played him, I would say, probably 4 or 5 times. And I never could get fired up to play him. And the reason for that, he reminded me so much of my father. Joe Balsas and my father could possibly pass for brothers. And every time I played him, I just didn't have the fire.
Okay.
I don't know. It was just something about him that reminded me of my father. And I never beat him one match. We must have played 4 or 5 times. I just could not, just couldn't do it,
Understood. Okay. What about Irving Crane?
Irving Crane, of course, I played him, 2, maybe 3 times. Probably beating 2 out of the 3.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Cicero Murphy?
Cicero, I never lost a match to him.
Okay. Freddie the Beard?
Freddie Bensavegna?
Yeah.
Well, Freddie was a one-pocket player and a bank pool player. He wasn't a 9-ball player or a straight pool player.
That's true. You didn't play a lot of one pocket, did you?
No, in Lansing, Michigan, which was my hometown.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, bank pool and one pocket, it was very rare if you ever saw anybody playing a game of one pocket or bank pool. They just didn't play it.
I see.
In Lansing, now you go 70 miles southeast to Detroit, they played it. They played everything. Right. But in Lansing, no banks, no one pocket.
Okay. How about Jay Swanson?
Played Jay Swanson. How many times would I play Jay Swanson? Couple, 2, 3 times, I would imagine. No, and another terrific player. That also, he only had one eye, and boy, I tell you, well, like my good friend Jim Blakeman.
Yeah.
Terrific player, and here's a guy that only got one eye. I mean, I used to think to myself, boy, how do these guys play so well, and they only have one eye? It was kind of mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
And I also noticed every time I played a left-hander, I never saw a bad left-handed player in my life. Like every guy that plays left-handed is a good player from everyone that I ever saw. It's like, what is this, an unfair advantage to be a lefty? I mean, you know.
What about Bobby Hunter? Jamie Susueto wanted to know if you played Bobby Hunter before.
Oh, sure. Bobby Hunter came 50 miles from me, from Lansing. Bobby Hunter was from Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
And I remember playing him in a tournament in my hometown in Lansing one time, 125 points. He ran 125 and out on me.
Wow.
Yeah, Bobby played real good pool. There was no question about that, you know?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. What about, how about Robert LeBlanc? He lives in Vegas, too. Do you ever play him?
I don't believe I ever played LeBlanc.
Bobby Cotton.
They called him Cotton.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't ever recall playing him. You know, of course, I don't know if he was around then back when I was playing my best pool. I mean, my best pool like in the late 60s and throughout the 70s.
Right.
So I don't never recall. No, I don't believe we ever played. No.
How about some of the Latin guys, Mauro Paez, Ernesto?
Ernesto, I used to beat Ernesto like pretty bad. I mean, for whatever reason, I always played very good when I played Ernesto.
Yeah.
Basically, just kind of run over Ernesto.
Okay.
I'll tell you an interesting story about that, seeing as how you mentioned him.
Yeah.
The last time I had ever played him, I would have to say it was probably maybe in the 80s time, but he beat me, you know. And I mean, I used to run over Ernesto like 11-2, 11-1. I mean, it was no contest.
Yeah.
And the last time I had ever played him, he beat me. And I was like so upset that I actually sold my cue stick after that match.
Did you really? Wow.
Yeah. But boy, I tell you what, he's a terrific player, and he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Never says a word. He's a true gentleman, and boy, his game really elevated. Like when I was just warping all over him, he really wasn't at his best yet.
Yeah.
But it was about to come some years later, you know. I mean, he got really playing good, and his son Oscar, he's a terrific player.
Sure is.
Both really, really nice guys.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, your niece Monique is watching. She said to say hello.
All right, I'm her favorite uncle. Okay.
Okay. Hi to you, Monique Mataya. um, uh, well, we're kind of like we've been going on now for about an hour. I want to ask you a couple of the hard questions. Is that all right, Jim?
Ask me anything you want, and you will get the answer.
Okay. Okay. You you've recently been nominated in sort of the veterans category for the to be inducted into the BCA Hall of Fame. This is a nomination that comes every 2 years. It's alternating between the meteoric rise players and the veteran players. Now, you've been nominated with several other players and several other individuals that are all deserving, um, of recognition, such as Keith McCready, David Howard, Mary Keniston, Grady Matthews, just to name a few. So, first off, I want to congratulate you for being nominated.
Well, I'll be honest with you about that. It's the first time in my life that I have ever heard that I was nominated. If I had ever been nominated before, I didn't even know about it.
Sure.
So it's pretty hard for someone to be nominated for a Hall of Fame in any sport, and you don't even know it.
And not know, yeah.
I don't. As far as I'm concerned, this is the first time that I know of that my name was ever thrown into the hat.
For the National Hall of Fame. I mean, you're already in the Lansing Sports Hall of Fame, the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame. You're in 2 Hall of Fames for the state of Michigan. Yes, but this is a little bit different to you, is it not?
Well, it's something that I gave up thinking about years and years ago. It never even crosses my mind anymore about the Hall of Fame. Even when I was a player in '93 when I quit.
Yeah.
I never even gave the Hall of Fame any consideration at all. Just something I never thought about.
Right.
Now I think about it, and I wondered why I had never ever even got a nomination. And I began to think about that, and let's face it, I was a little upset about it. To be honest with you, but
okay.
Even like right now, I'm like kind of shocked. I had to ask somebody, "Are you sure that that's me?" They want, I'm actually on the list. Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Because it's all new to me.
Well, I know that. I mean, I'll just talk from my experience. I know that Jose Perica, for quite some time, he was wondering, why am I not being nominated or inducted into the Hall of Fame? He just feels like, it's just been an uphill battle for him. And finally, he was nominated and inducted and voted into the Hall of Fame. So, I mean, do you?
And definitely so. He's a terrific player.
Yeah, I mean, do you feel like you're not the only one, or I mean, and now you look, some of your peers, Keith McCready, Grady Matthews, rest in peace. I mean, those guys, are they just as deserving as you are, or do you feel like you should have been maybe nominated a little earlier than these guys? How do you feel about that?
Well, to tell you the truth, when you talk about this Veterans Hall of Fame,
yeah,
the first thing that actually came into my mind when I had heard about this is I feel in my own mind, in my own honest opinion, okay, why am I being nominated for like the old folks' home? Like, in other words, when I was winning World's Idols why was I never nominated back then?
Yeah.
Why did they wait until I'm in a wheelchair, so to speak?
He's not in a wheelchair, guys.
I feel myself, honestly, I feel I don't want to be one of the competitors of the Veterans Hall of Fame. I would like to know, why can I not be nominated against the best players in the world today?
I understand.
You know what? If you're going to try to be the best in the world, you got to get out there and beat the best, okay? You can't say, well, I'll play this guy, but I won't play that guy.
Yeah.
You want to be the best, you want to consider yourself the best, then you go against the best.
Yeah.
For my money, I would take my credentials and records that have never been broken. Why would I be ashamed to go against the great players of today? They can take their credentials, I'll take mine, and if you got somebody that's better than me, all I can say is take the pot, my friend. They deserve it. But one thing's for sure, they better be pretty good. They better have some pretty good credentials, and I want to see if they got any records that have never been broken.
Yeah.
So I would like to compete against them, because I don't feel as though I'm the best if I didn't beat the best. And it's just it's a strange feeling for me. Like it's an honor to be nominated finally, I mean, let's face it, it's an honor.
Yeah.
In my own
Sure.
heart, I feel like I'm in a competition with 6 people that have passed away, and God rest their souls, because they are all great friends of mine. All great friends of mine. I was sick to my stomach when I heard they passed away. But I feel like, I'm competing with someone that's not here to speak up for themselves. Why can I not compete against the great players of today? They have their credentials, I have mine. And if yours is better than mine, like I say, take the pot. I don't have any problem losing to somebody that's better than me.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of the way I feel about it. It's a funny feeling to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to get into the ins and outs of the selection or the voting committee or anything like that. I know that it's probably very difficult, like almost a burden to have that responsibility to be able to, draw the right names and the timing of said names,
There's so many great players out there. I know the Hall of Fame.
That's true.
Has a difficult job. They can only select one person or 2 people, whatever.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
you take a look at all the amazing players they are. It's not an easy job.
It's not. And so, be that as it may, I can only just congratulate you. And I really hope that I feel personally that you're definitely deserving of this place in history, and I hope that if you are inducted this year, I hope that you're satisfied with it, and that I just wish you the best. I mean, I consider you a friend, so with
I don't
that.
want anybody voting for me because we're friends. If you want to vote for me, it's because you thought I deserved it. I don't care for all this friendship stuff that goes on.
No, I don't.
If someone doesn't think that I deserve it, that's fine. But I don't want anybody voting for me just because we're friends, because that's not right and it's not fair.
Well, you should be voted. It should be determined based on your accomplishments as a professional pool player and how it pertains to our modern history in the United States, and for that I think you're well deserving. I mean, talk about meteoric rise. I mean, at the age of 16, you're winning the Michigan State Championship 3 times in a row. Like, I mean, how is that not a meteoric? And then to win the World Championship 4 years later, or 3 years later in 1971. That's extremely meteoric, if not just amazing as a pool player in general. And then, I think we place a lot of expectations on pool players. You kind of came around at a time also where pool was under the microscope. That there was a lot of pressure to put pool in a place where it needed to be, like where everybody expected it to be. They all wanted it to be this huge thing. You had the Camel Tour. You had pool on TV starting to get big, and I think there was a lot of pressure for players to perform and be likable on camera. And I think you did an amazing job of doing that. But also at the same time, I could imagine the pressure for you during those years. That very small window of time in the late 80s and early 90s must have been very, very difficult for you, because this was not a place that you needed to be back in the 70s and early 80s. But then back in the late 80s, there seemed to be like this huge surge to put pool in the mainstream. Would you agree with all that, or?
We, as professional players back then, we were all in the same boat. We were all hoping good things are going to happen. Good things are going to happen. Hang in there, hang in there. I was getting very disgusted, and come the 1980s, I slowly started to go downhill. I was losing my desire to get in there and fight. Let me tell you something. You're playing the greatest players in the world. You better be ready let's get ready to rumble, okay?
Right,
and
right.
When you lose that, it's time to go. And like I said, I wish I would have quit 10 years earlier. I think I could have saved myself a lot of embarrassment, not only in my attitude, but in the way that I was performing. I mean, I was, in my opinion, a bum.
Well, I think you tried to quit. You tried to quit 20 years earlier when you moved to Las Vegas to become a blackjack dealer.
I went to work as a dealer. Here I got 3 titles under my belt, and I'm going to dealer school. I'm going to go and get a job. Yeah. And it was the mob from Detroit that got me the job at the Tropicana, which at the time was one of the top places in town to work. To try to get one of those jobs back in the day, you had to know somebody. I don't care if you were the greatest dealer in town. If you didn't know somebody, you weren't going to work. Well, the mob put me to work, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being away from the dungeon, the rack.
I bet.
I mean, it was. I don't know. I was confused. I just got tired of the gambling and the hustling. It's not what I wanted. I wanted to try to make a decent living playing this game.
Yeah.
And when you find out that without gambling, it's going to be pretty difficult, my friend. How are you going to pay your bills? You get one tournament every 3 months or something, and what are you going to do?
Yeah. A random thought.
The Hall of Fame this year, there's 10 of us on this list.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, we're all 9-1 underdogs, and that's the way I look at it myself. I'm just a 9-1 underdog. Whoever wins it, well, they were a 9-1 underdog also.
Right. Well, all that aside, I think your accomplishments as a pool player, your lifetime achievements, are bar none. They're just.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that really amazes me. I mean, I understand this. I understand how things go, and I understand how things work in the world of pool. One thing that I look at that really has me amazed. Do you realize that there is 4 Hall of Fames in the world of pool?
Okay. Please elaborate.
You have the Women's Association Hall of Fame. Okay. So I wish I could have. They wouldn't let me play in the women's division, and I don't understand it. Okay. But anyhow, there's 3 Hall of Fames in the men's division.
Yeah.
And you have the Louisville, you have the BCA, you have the World Straight Pool.
Right.
I'm not in any of them.
Now, there's also a one pocket Hall of Fame now too. I think
Well,
it was
that's
Wisconsin
Louisville.
or Wyoming.
Louisville is a one pocket and a bank pool, and
Yeah.
the Action Hall of Fame. But I'm not a member of any of those Hall of Fames.
Yeah.
And I have to say to myself, how many people are actually in the Hall of Fame? I'm not talking about cue makers or manufacturers or authors. I'm talking about how many players are actually in the Hall of Fame in the men's division.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Let's say, for example, 100 players. Okay? Are you trying to tell me that of them 100 players, that I was the worst one out of all of them? I beg your pardon. I just, that's the reason I never thought about the Hall of Fame. I mean, I gave up on that a long, long time ago.
I see. Well, I don't want to have to put you in a place where you're putting it under the microscope, because it obviously just kerfuffles you. So I want to move on. I want to basically, I congratulate you for being nominated this year, and I look forward to seeing your name in the Hall of Fame.
I still got a shot at the Hall of Fame. I'm making it as soon as they come with a commentators Hall of Fame, and I got somebody I'd like to nominate. I'd like to nominate Larry Schwartz. I think he does a marvelous job.
That's great. He's watching, by the way. He's in our chat room.
Well, he's been around pool for 50 years. He's written articles for the Billiards Digest for over 25 years.
Yeah.
He knows every player that ever played, and pool is his life. And I think he does a great job with his commentary. I hope to have a commentary Hall of Fame someday. I'm gonna put my vote in for Larry Schwartz.
Well, there is a United States, the USBMA, the U.S. Billiard Media Association. So who knows? We'll see.
Well, and so in the world of pool, you never know what's going to happen.
It's true.
It's a strange sport to predict why it has been on the back shelf for 60, 70 years, because when you consider the fact that of all non-physical sports, pocket billiards is the number one most difficult. Yeah. It's above golf. It's above bowling. It's above every non-physical sport there is. Degree of difficulty, pool is number one. There was an article, I believe, possibly Sports Illustrated some 30 years ago or something, and they talked about this. What is the most difficult sport of all the non-physical sports? Pool was number one, golf was number two, and bowling was number three. And when you think that professional bowlers are making more money than professional pool players. I mean, I love bowling. Hey, it's a blast, okay? I love playing golf. I mean, it's just fun. But when you consider the degree of difficulty, which one is the most toughest? It's pocket billiards.
I agree.
Because, I've been around this sport for 62 years. I have world titles. If someone was to come up to me and ask me, how much do you actually think you know about this sport? I'd have to be honest with them. I'd say I know about 15% of what there is to know.
Yeah.
You can take the greatest player in the world that ever lived, whoever that person may be. I will guarantee you that he's doing well if he knows 30% of what there is to know, because it's a never-ending learning experience. You're always improvising. You come up with shots that you've never been in that type of situation before. How do you hit the shot? What's the right speed? Is it an offensive shot? Is it a defensive shot? These are things you don't even know. Now, tell me how much improvising is there in bowling? How much improvising is there in the game of golf? There's no question that non-physical sports, pool is the boss. And it's a shame that these players of today and for the last 70 years it's a shame that they don't have a chance to make big money like other sports do.
Yeah.
You know,
It is a shame. But it's
Well,
it's been like that too. It's been like that for many years. It's not just the players of today. It's the players of yesteryear as well, right?
yeah, I mean, listen, I played for more money 40 years ago than what these players play for today, and I'm just telling you, that's a fact. I played for more money 40 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
You know, and what's really pathetic, you watch TV, like I was watching yesterday, they got on 2 hours of cornhole, okay? Now, you know, it's fun to go out in the backyard with your friends and your family and have some barbecue, and the guy's got a cornhole thing out there. You know, it's fun to just fool around. But you got cornhole on TV for 2 hours. You don't have any pocket figures. There's no, you know, I mean, I don't get it. I really don't, and it's a shame.
Well, we're splitting hairs now, but I mean, because obviously, you know, I can see the attraction to something like cornhole because, you know, a sports channel would definitely want to do it because it's the kind of sport where the spectator would look at it and say, "I could do that," and that's what makes them want to watch it because they're probably looking at it going, I could be that guy, you know, and so it's gonna get ratings, you know.
And I'll tell you what else I saw the other day. First time I ever seen it, never even heard of it. Cherry pit spitting. Are you hip to this?
I did not know that cherry pit spitting was becoming a thing.
I saw this on TV the other day, and I'm thinking to myself, man, geez, pocket billiards can't even get on the air, and we're watching cherry pit spitting, we're watching cornhole, we're watching hot dog eating contests. I mean, what?
You know, slap fighting's big in Russia too. You know.
What is?
Slap fighting. Slap. They slap each other.
Slap each other. Okay.
Yeah, they slap each other. Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Anyway, look, I don't want to digress. I want to thank you, Jimmy, for your time today, and you know, I'll have to get your mailing address because I want to send out something nice for you. But real quick,
pictures in the post office. You could find me easy.
Yeah, exactly. I want to ask you.
I want to say hello to all my best friends.
Okay, please do.
Friends, all from the Rum Runner. I've got to say hello to all of these guys because I know they're sitting there listening. So, and you know them all too.
I know.
I want to say to the number one boss, Gino Hill, guy that does everything he can for pool, as you know. We need a lot more guys like Gino Hill. He's a great guy. I want to say hello to Joe Canella and Al Lawrence and Jim Blakeman and Ryan DeBerg and Darren Domingo and Christina Gonzalez, and say hello to Tommy Baker and his lovely wife Lisa. I want to say hello to Steve Bergen. I hope I'm not leaving anybody out here. And I just, you know,
Phil Tatum.
All those guys. They're all my best friends.
Phil Tatum. Phil Tatum.
Oh yeah, Phil Tatum. I knew I was leaving somebody out.
Katie and her husband.
Yeah, and Amy Kane and all of them. You know, I mean, they're all wonderful people there, and they're all family there, as you know.
Yeah.
Everybody at the Rum Runners family.
I know, and I always look forward to going to Vegas to see you guys. So, speaking of which, too, you know, you do have some immediate siblings and family as well. You want to say hi to them?
Yeah, my brother, he's listening, and he's doing gangbusters with all this virus stuff because he runs a meat business. He has
oh wow,
Western beef and seafood, and he has all kinds of trucks that drive all over Vegas every day, Western beef and seafood. So he's making a killing with this because everybody needs meat.
Yeah.
And people running out of meat.
Yeah,
So,
thank you for your service. I mean, it's these guys on the front lines, they're the real heroes of this whole pandemic.
yeah, yeah. My brother's a hero. He's feeding everybody.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And Monique's watching.
Yeah, my favorite niece, Monique.
Yeah.
I got a million nephews and nieces, and I mean they're all listening right now. So
One last thing, actually, when you talk about players today, I mean let's take about out. I know there are a lot of things about modern pool today that you really don't like the jump cues and the measle balls and all that. Who are your favorite players today? Who do you really like today?
well, I tell you what, an amazing player, obviously, is Alex Pagulayan.
Yeah.
I mean, all of the Filipino players are. I really like his attitude. He's always smiling. He's always, joking around, and all those Filipino players are really nice guys. You can forget about their talents. That speaks for itself. But they're all really nice people. They're a different flavor than the American players. And the European players, they're all gentlemen, and it's nice to have all those champions with us today. Because back in my era of pool, the Americans just completely dominated. I mean,
yeah.
The Americans there's no question, they were the best players in the world.
Right.
Now you got the Europeans and you got the Filipinos, and it's fun to watch the difference in styles that they have.
It really is.
They bring that foreign flavor to the game, and it's fun to watch those guys. I know what to expect from the American players. But with those guys, you don't know quite what to expect. They shoot shots differently.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun to watch those guys.
Yeah. And what style would you say? I mean, well, hold on. I think you're forgetting about the players from Hungary too.
Oh yeah, Bill Mose. Boy, that guy. Every time I've seen him play, he's fantastic. And I tell you, when I was commentating a match with Bill Mose and Oscar,
yeah,
it was one of the best matches I ever saw. And it was a shame that one of them had to lose because they both just shot the lights out. I mean, I really enjoyed watching that. I haven't seen a great match like that in some time.
Sure.
I mean, it was really tremendous.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, whether or not you have a cue in your hand today or playing or not playing, Jimmy, I'm really, really honored and proud that you're still amongst us, pool players. You still represent the game, even though you don't play it nowadays. You still are a mentor to me, and I'm sure to a lot of other people out there, aspiring players, to pool fans, and also to the veterans that used to know you. I'm honored that you're still around with us, and I just wanted you to know that.
Well, I'm honored to be your friend, and I'm honored to be the friend of all them guys at the Rum Runner. I mean, they're family to me.
Yeah.
They're absolute family. And about all I'd like to say to all the people out there that like to play pool and everything, play pool and have fun, my friends, because that's what it's all about. Have fun. And if there's ever a time where it's not fun for you, then it's time to lay down your cue.
Thank you for that, Jimmy. That is the biggest truth of all. Yeah. So with that, I want to say thanks, and I hope you have a great week, and we'll talk a little later. And anything else?
No, I guess that about covers it all. Trying to figure if there's anybody we left out. Did we leave out anybody?
We probably did. But hey, we can always have another interview, right, Jimmy?
Yeah, we can do this again next week. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
Hey,
get ahead.
maybe what I'd like to do is I'd like to have you and another guest on together. So let's talk about the possibility of doing that sometime soon in the future, and maybe we'll do it with a Zoom conference call, and we'll be
So,
able.
I am not a computer wizard. Zoom, whatever that is, I trust that you're talking about actually looking at the person you're talking to.
Yeah, it's video conferencing, so we'll
Right.
hopefully we'll get to that point. But I understand now that you just didn't want to be on camera because of the hair, right?
If you look at me now, everybody would turn off. They
All
turn
right.
station on, watching, I was a teenage werewolf or something.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Jimmy. We'll talk to you soon, and thanks to all of you guys out there too who are watching today.
Okay, say hello to the boss with the sauce, Geraldine.
I will. I'll give Geraldine my love from you.
Okay,
Thanks a lot, Jimmy. Bye-bye.
thank you.
All right.